Hey, what's up, everyone? I am here with what would probably be considered a controversial topic in the gun community, but not to me, to be honest with you. And that is birdshot good for self-defense? I'll get right to the point. Yes, it is. But again, remember, this is also the guy who did a video called "Is 22 LR good for self-defense?" And to that, I responded, yes! So, a few things before I go any further. For one thing, birdshot for self-defense. As you probably know if you're watching a video like this, there are different types of birdshot, different weights of birdshot. You can shoot birdshot out of an 18.5-inch barrel. You can shoot out of a 28-inch barrel. You can have different chokes on the end of the barrel to make the spread a little bit less, or just go with the cylinder bore to have a wider spread. And then, of course, you also have to take into account the distance from the person shooting the birdshot to the target. So, now obviously, when I say for self-defense, I don't mean something where someone's 150 feet away and you're taking a shot at them. Well, 150 feet away, it's probably going to spread pretty well, and unless the individual that you're trying to get into a tussle with is like, I don't know, a quail, yeah, I think 150 feet might be out of the question. But the thing is, most of us don't live in big houses with 150-foot runs. Probably the longest part of my house that's uninterrupted is a hallway that I have that leads into a dining area / kitchen. I would probably guess it's maybe 30 to 35 feet. Now, I think that from that vantage point, actually, if one of the doors is open, it might actually go about 45 or so feet. I think from 45 feet, it would do the job. I also think that even with just a cylinder bore shotgun, it would probably stay pretty close to like fist sized. And I think if you go closer, say 25 feet, 20 feet, 15 feet, I am pretty much close to positive, without having tested it myself, that it's going to stay in a pretty tight package, and it's going to do some damage. I mean, let's not forget, your typical birdshot, let's say maybe like a 7.5 birdshot, you have like an ounce and an eighth of birdshot. You have several hundred pellets, and it's going maybe like 1,300 feet per second. That's a lot of energy. Now, some of you might say, well, yeah, but they're little pellets, and each pellet is light, and the light weight of the pellets kind of holds back the potential of the power. And you know what? You would be correct. That's why I think it would be pretty lousy to use for self-defense at an extreme distance. But like I said, 20 feet, 25 feet, I think it would be fantastic. Now, there's some other reasons why, because I know I'm going to have some people saying to me, well, buckshot is more effective. It has only, let's say 9 pellets, but it has more power. You would be correct. But there are some reasons why I would prefer birdshot in situations such as a home defense situation. Some people might say, rifle slugs, lots of power there. And you know what? They'd be right. It's got a ton of power, even more than buckshot. But there's still some reasons I prefer birdshot. Now, we've already kind of touched on the whole minimal spread at normal house distances. Now, the one that would be the best for long distances would be the slug. So, maybe if you live in like a $12 million mansion and you've got really, 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 really long hallways, all right, maybe the slug might be your friend. Let me also add that maybe you live on like 100 acres of land. If you don't live on 100 acres of land and have a really, 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 really long hallway, a slug might not be the good idea. If you don't believe me, ask your neighbors. That's right, it's going to sail through the bad guy in about probably, I don't know how many walls and God knows what else. Okay? Keep that in mind. It leaves the barrel, you own it. And guess what? It has a picture of an attorney on it. Now, like I said, less chance of overpenetration, slugs and buckshot. Buckshot wouldn't be as bad for overpenetration, but the problem is there. With birdshot, you're not going to overpenetrate as much. Now, I don't have the setup to do these kind of tests. I wish I did have the kind of setup to do that sort of thing. But there's a lot of videos on YouTube. I watched a whole bunch of them. Plus, I have like a basic understanding of physics. Buckshot's not going to overpenetrate. Now, you might say, well, it won't penetrate the person I'm trying to get rid of. Well, it's not going to do the damage a slug will do, but you also don't have the other issues, like, again, the overpenetration. The other thing is, let's say you're a typical family, your mom, dad, and a couple of kids. Maybe you're really into guns, you shoot all the time. You can handle 12 gauge slugs like nobody's business. That's great. Now, does your wife practice that much? Okay, if she's like this kind of, petite desert flower, is she going to be handling a 12 gauge rifle slug? Maybe, maybe not. What if you have a child who's, you have a daughter who's like 90 pounds soaking wet? Birdshot has lower recoil. It's more effective, in my opinion, because you'll probably be a little bit better with it as far as controlling it. And the other factor is if you need to make follow-up shots. Okay? If you're getting thrown back against a wall from a slug, you probably got a little more confidence and speed racking the slide. And as we know, just picking up a pump shotgun, let's say, I know they're kind of considered, the best thing ever. But you need to kind of get a little bit of like a groove, get into the groove of kind of shooting that sort of thing. That's why it's probably not a pump shotgun the best thing if you're not going to practice with it. Hence why I have my snap caps. Kind of cycling the action and practicing the pump. Pick these up at Amazon, by the way. Link in the description. So, the other thing is you'd still have those hundreds of pellets. Now, there's going to be some spread. It's going to spread out a little bit, but if you think about it, you have, I think a 12 gauge is like 72 gauge. Well, excuse me, like it's the equivalent of like a 72 caliber. It's 0.72 inches. It's not going to spread that much across 10, 15, 20 feet. It's just not going to. Now, over 100 feet, it is going to spread. That's why it's good for birds and clay targets. Now, a lot of people are thinking, well, it's for birds. It's for clay targets. But don't forget, the further it gets from that barrel, I mean, you're thinking of a smooth bore. So you have a smooth bore shotgun, and you have little BBs flying down. It's not like it's a rifled barrel with a firmly seated bullet. I mean, obviously, it's going to spread. It's going to lose energy, and it's going to lose energy faster than a bullet would lose energy. So, I mean, that's pretty much common sense, right? But the thing is, I'm not telling you to use this for self-defense at, 200 yards. Now, 200 yards, your basic rifle or carbine might be great. Shotgun, at least with the birdshot, no, not really. Wouldn't be good. But again, are you living in a huge mansion on a big, huge compound? No, you're probably living in a regular run-of-the-mill house. You probably can look out your front window and see your neighbors. So it's kind of better to keep things as safe as possible. And then another thing that I say, and sometimes I think people might disagree with this because they see themselves as these tactical Tommies. But if there is ever a situation where you have, a break-in, and then you go for your shotgun, a lot of times people don't want anything. A robber might not want anything to do with the homeowner. So as soon as they see somebody's there, they might, and I stress might, be out of there as soon as they see somebody. If not, as soon as they see somebody with a gun, that's going to be something that kind of convinces them to leave. And when they see that someone's really ready to use it, it might be something else to convince them. So using this gun might not even be necessary, to be honest with you. So you have chances. What are the chances of a home invasion? Well, they're pretty low. What are the chances of them sticking around if they see you? A little bit lower. Seeing you if you have a gun? A little bit lower. Now you have to actually shoot them. Again, that's when the birdshot comes into play. I like my chances with it, to be honest with you. I think it'll work. I think it'll be very useful. Now, I know some people will say, well, what if a gang of 17 people hopped up on meth wearing level 4 body armor and armed with AR-15s, AR-10s, and AKs comes in? Well, you're probably dead. I mean, we can all make situations. I could arm you with a Modus and be some kind of crazy thing you could think of that would say, well, that's not really the right thing to do. I mean, really, anything you have is a compromise. I mean, you can use a 10-22 with a 50-round magazine. Great capacity, but it's weak. You could use a 50 Beowulf. If you live in a place with a 10-round magazine capacity limit, you can only fit about 4 rounds of 50 Beowulf. Nice and powerful, good for close quarter combat, but you only have 4 rounds. Everything is a compromise. Is Birdshot a compromise? You bet it is. But you know what? Really, so is buckshot. So's a slug. You know, an AR-15 is a compromise. A pistol's a compromise. And I think it really comes down to where you think your problems may lie, and what you think you're going to be prepared for. I know some people watched a little too much Walking Dead, and they think these terrible, awful things can happen, and they can. You know, you could have like a whole gang of people come to your house, but it's extremely unlikely. I think it's more likely you might just get some lunatic breaking into your house in the middle of the night. You know, so I'm more likely to prepare for the one lunatic who might be like one of the robbers in Home Alone than to prepare for some, like, you know, really competent large group of people. That's me. That's my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, found some value in it. If you like this video or videos like it, please consider subscribing if you are not subscribed. And if you already are subscribed, you like the video, thumbs up would be really cool because it helps me realize what people like and what they don't like. Have a good one. I'll talk to you later.